In the span of just a few years, OpenAI has gone from an obscure research lab to one of the most powerful and valuable companies in the world. Its release of ChatGPT didn't just launch another Silicon Valley app, it marked the beginning of a new era. A technology once confined to research papers was suddenly in the hands of millions, reshaping the way we write, work, and even imagine the future. But the true story of OpenAI is far more dramatic than its sleek press releases suggest. It's a story of broken promises and uneasy alliances, of scientists dreaming of building gods and entrepreneurs battling for control of them. This is not just the history of a company, it's a glimpse into humanity's future. Because the struggle to control artificial intelligence may turn out to be the defining conflict of the 21st century. Every great story begins with unlikely beginnings. For Sam Altman, the journey started at Stanford University, where he studied computer science. But like many ambitious students in Silicon Valley, Sam decided the classroom wasn't big enough for his ideas. He dropped out to build a company called Luda location sharing app, designed to let friends see where each other were at any given time. Today, that concept feels ordinary. We take it for granted that we can share our live location through WhatsApp or Google Maps. But in the mid-2000s, this was almost science fiction. Sam's timing, however, was terrible. He was too early. Loot launched before the iPhone existed, before the App Store had created a global marketplace for apps. It was like inventing a car before roads were built. Still, Sam worked relentlessly. His diet was reduced to instant noodles and ice cream. He pushed himself so hard and ate so poorly that he developed scurvy, a disease sailors once got during months at sea. For most people, that would have been the end of the story. For Sam, it was only the beginning. In 2005, he joined the very first class of Y Combinator, a brand new accelerator founded by Paul Graham. Y Combinator was a radical experiment, part boot camp, part investment firm, part finishing school for entrepreneurs. At a time when building startups felt chaotic and uncertain, Y Combinator offered a structure. They gave founders money, advice, and most importantly, a community. Paul Graham quickly noticed something unusual about Sam. He wasn't just another coder. He had a sharp, almost political sense for how power worked in Silicon Valley. Graham would later comment that Sam had a knack not only for creating companies, but for inserting himself into positions of influence. By the age of 30, Sam Altman was no longer a scrappy founder. He was president of Y Combinator, the most prestigious startup accelerator in the world. The position gave him access to countless founders and investors, and his reputation grew rapidly. And with that platform, Sam began speaking more and more about a subject that fascinated him: artificial intelligence. By 2015, the tech world was already alive with talk of AI. Some saw it as the next great wave of innovation, but one man saw something darker: Elon Musk. Musk had spent years imagining humanity's future building rockets with SpaceX, electric cars with Tesla, and warning about existential risks. For him, AI wasn't just another technology. It was an uncontrollable force that could surpass humanity itself. He was haunted by the question, what happens when the machines are smarter than us? At that time, Google was the undisputed leader in AI research. They had been quietly acquiring research labs, hoarding talent, and investing billions. In fact, by some estimates, 3/4 of the world's top AI researchers worked at Google. When Musk pressed Google's CEO, Larry Page, about the dangers of AI, Page brushed him off. To Page, Musk was being paranoid. To Musk, Page was being reckless. In private conversations, Musk warned that if superintelligent AI emerged under Google's control, humanity could be at risk. To him, the future of AI was too important
on AI, and that the person in charge doesn't care about AI safety.
Just one company that has close to a monopoly on AI talent and computers, like scaled computing, and the person who's in charge doesn't seem to care about safety. This is not good.
In late 2015, a quiet dinner was held in Silicon Valley. Around the table sat 10 of the most influential figures in technology. Elon Musk was there. So was Sam Altman. Joining them was Greg Brockman, who had helped scale Stripe into one of the most successful fintech companies in the world. And perhaps most crucially, Ilya Sutskever, one of the most respected AI researchers alive. The dinner was no ordinary gathering. They spoke about the enormous risks and opportunities of artificial intelligence. They debated whether AI would lead to utopia or catastrophe. And before the evening was over, they made a decision. They would build their own AI lab. Musk pledged up to $1 billion in funding. Brockman would run operations, Sutskever would bring his research expertise, and Altman would orchestrate the vision. Thus, OpenAI was born. But unlike every other tech startup in Silicon Valley, OpenAI would be a nonprofit. Its mission was clear: to build artificial intelligence safely for the benefit of all humanity, and to share its breakthroughs openly with the world. The symbolism was powerful. This would not be Google's closed empire. This would be AI for everyone, hence the name OpenAI. But ideals are fragile things, especially in Silicon Valley.
This thing from Google would be like a nonprofit that is fully open, because Google is closed for profit. So that's why the open in OpenAI refers to open source. We don't want this to be sort of a profit maximizing demon from hell.
When OpenAI began, it didn't look like the future of humanity. It looked like a few people in an apartment experimenting. Their projects seemed almost random. They built a bot to play the video game Dota 2, hoping that mastering its complexity might lead to more general intelligence. They tried building a robot butler. Even insiders admitted they were just doing random stuff. Sam Altman was still busy at Y Combinator. Elon Musk was absorbed in Tesla and SpaceX. The day-to-day leadership fell to Ilya Sutskever and Greg Brockman. But beneath the chaos, there was a unifying vision: artificial general intelligence, AGI. Unlike narrow AI, which could only do one task at a time, AGI was intelligence in the human sense. It could learn new skills on its own, generalize across domains, and think in ways no machine ever had. Some called it the last invention humanity would ever need. Because once we built a machine smarter than us, it could design machines smarter than itself. Progress would accelerate beyond human comprehension. Inside OpenAI, some began to speak about their work in almost spiritual terms, about building gods. They spoke of AI as the greatest invention in history or the greatest threat to humanity's existence. At the time, many in the tech world rolled their eyes. OpenAI's talk of saving or destroying humanity seemed absurd, especially when they were still tinkering with game bots. But the team believed it deeply, and they weren't alone. Around the world, governments and researchers were waking up to the stakes. Vladimir Putin famously declared, "Whoever wins the AI race will rule the world." The timing was significant. For decades, AI research had been plagued by AI winters, periods where lofty promises collapsed into disappointment. But in 2015, breakthroughs began to arrive. That year, an AI shocked the world by defeating a professional player of Go. The ancient board game, long considered too complex for machines, soon it defeated the world champion. The victory made headlines, but it also revealed AI's limits. The system could only play Go, nothing else. Older AI models required carefully labeled data for each new task. If you wanted an AI to recognize cats, you had to feed it thousands of pictures labeled cat. If you wanted it to recognize chairs, you had to do the same all over again. A popular joke from the TV show Silicon Valley captured it perfectly. You could train an AI to know if an image was a hot dog or not a hot dog, but beyond that, it was clueless. Humans were generalists. AI was narrow until 2017. That year, a small team at Google published a paper titled, "Attention is All You Need." The title was understated. The contents were revolutionary. The paper introduced a new AI architecture, the transformer. Transformers didn't need carefully labeled data. They could absorb messy, unlabeled information like the vast sprawl of text on the internet and learn patterns on their own. It was like teaching a child by immersing them in the world, rather than giving them flashcards. The breakthrough didn't come from OpenAI. It came from Google, the very company Elon Musk feared. But Google, cautious about its reputation and its advertising empire, moved slowly. They even built their own chatbot, but never released it. In hindsight, this caution was a critical mistake. Ilya Sutskever saw the Transformer's potential immediately. OpenAI seized on the idea and pushed it forward. The result was a series of models called GPTs, Generative Pre-trained Transformers. Suddenly, AI wasn't narrow anymore. These models could answer questions, write essays, draft code tasks they were never explicitly trained for. The internet itself became their training ground. Every digitized book, every article, every post-it was all fuel. It was messy, imperfect, and raised serious copyright concerns. But it worked. For the first time, AI felt general. By the time OpenAI built GPT-2, they faced a dilemma. Their nonprofit mission had promised to share discoveries freely, but GPT-2 was powerful enough that they feared it could be misused for disinformation, spam, even cybercrime. So OpenAI made a decision. They wouldn't release it. The announcement shocked the world. Wired called it the AI text generator too dangerous to make public. Ironically, their secrecy generated even more publicity. But it also raised a troubling question. Was OpenAI really still open? By 2018, Elon Musk had resigned from OpenAI's board. Officially, the reason was a conflict of interest with Tesla's AI work. But insiders tell a different story. Musk had wanted control. He proposed becoming CEO. He even suggested folding OpenAI into Tesla. The board refused. Musk walked away, and he took most of his billion-dollar pledge with him. This left OpenAI desperate for funding. And so, in 2019, they did the unthinkable. They transitioned from nonprofit to for-profit. Investors could now make returns capped at 100 times, but returns nonetheless. Soon after, OpenAI struck a partnership with Microsoft, which poured in $1 billion and gave them access to its immense cloud infrastructure. For critics, it was betrayal. OpenAI had been founded to counter big tech. Now it was allied with one of the biggest. Elon Musk himself would later sneer that they should rename themselves Closed AI. And at the center of it all was Sam Altman, who had once again maneuvered himself into the top position, this time as CEO. In 2020, OpenAI unveiled GPT-3, trained on an enormous dataset of internet text. But the real turning point came in November 2022. Without fanfare, without press events, Sam Altman sent out a single tweet. "Today we launch ChatGPT. Try talking with it here." The response was electric. Within 2 months, ChatGPT had 100 million users, the fastest adoption of any app in history. For comparison, it had taken Facebook more than 4 years to reach the same milestone. People were stunned. Previous chatbots had been clunky, robotic, and frustrating. ChatGPT felt conversational, almost human. Students used it to write essays, programmers used it to debug code, writers used it for inspiration, but not everyone was celebrating. Inside OpenAI, some researchers worried. ChatGPT still made glaring mistakes, inventing facts, a problem they called hallucinations. Others feared it could be misused by hackers, scammers, or propagandists. And yet the company had pressed forward. OpenAI, once a scrappy nonprofit with no office, was now the central player in the world's greatest technological arms race. And that's when the cracks began to show. A divide grew inside the company, between those racing ahead with products and partnerships and those warning of safety risks. Rival companies like Anthropic were formed by defectors. Tensions grew louder. Sam Altman's public vision only expanded. He spoke of curing disease, ending poverty, and creating a world of abundance. But not everyone shared his optimism. And then, in November 2023, came the twist no one expected. The board of OpenAI called an emergency meeting. Hours after Altman had delivered a speech to world leaders about the promise of AI, he was abruptly fired as CEO. The rise of OpenAI is a story of ambition and contradiction. A nonprofit that became a corporate powerhouse. A company that promised openness but chose secrecy. A leader who rose from obscurity to global influence only to be ousted in a single phone call.